What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today we are talking Sixers basketball. Joining me is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. What's up, Ryan?
Not much, man. Ready to dive into this offseason as we briefly touched on it last week, and ready to rebuild this team and into a championship contender, huh?
Yeah. Rob is a late arrival. He'll be joining us momentarily. But tonight we're covering Sixers stay or go. We're going to talk about our lessons that we learned against the New York Knicks and talk more about our biggest targets for the Sixers offseason. Guys, if you didn't catch our show last week, we covered kind of the Mount Rushmore of Sixers targets. Guys like Lowry Markkanen, guys like Mikal Bridges and Malik Monk and Pascal Siakam. But today we're going to be talking a little bit more of the role players, which I think they truly need to find some upgrades on. So that being said, guys, if you're watching us live, comment your thoughts, stay or go, comment, all that kind of fun stuff. Let's jump right into this one. I mean, this one's pretty much a no-brainer. We're not going to include Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey in this. We know what the Sixers intend to do here. Tobias Harris, stay or go, Ryan?
Listen, I think Tobias Harris got an unfair shake in this town, and it has everything to do with the amount of money that we paid him. That being said, hell no, I don't want him here. Come on. Listen, the only way I would ever accept him to being Philadelphia 76ers is if he took like league minimum. And that's obviously not happening. Somebody will stupidly pay him. So, this is the easiest, decision in the history of decisions, right? Right there, Capital One.
0 points, man. In an elimination game, he scored 0 points and took 2 freaking shots.
Yeah, he just disappears. And even when Embiid went down, you thought, hey, listen, number 2 option here, he's going to step up. He got worse. So he can't be relied upon in any fashion. Yeah. And honestly, he can't step foot in this town ever again.
Yeah, even on a vet minimum, you got to move on. You simply have to move on. Never came close to matching expectations of being a max player. For me, as we talked about last week, he was the primary reason they lost to the Knicks. It's just simply time to move on. And it's not Harris's fault he was overpaid. Let's make that clear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Definitely. But, it is his fault that he made 0 impact on the offensive end. And now that max slot is open, maybe they can add an actual third scorer to this basketball team. We have A in the house saying re-sign Tobias to a max contract. No.
Oh boy.
Punt Tobias to the moon.
A is playing with some dynamite right now.
Yep, absolutely. Let's roll on to number 2, and that is Kelly Oubre. Stay or go, Kelly Oubre.
I absolutely love Kelly Oubre. And listen, I love for him for the energy he brings, the vibe that he brings, that off the bench scoring punch when needed. It seems like whenever we needed something like that, he was there to take over and just provide a little a shot to the mouth, for scoring, whether it be defense, whatever it is. Is he perfect? Obviously not, but you're also not paying him, a max contract here. You're able to bring him back. I think he loves, the vibes in Philly. I think he wants to be back. I would absolutely love for him to be 6th, 7th man off the bench if possible. That would be amazing. I absolutely love him.
Yeah, what a surprise to this Sixers team, man. Signed to a vet minimum. Really excited they got an athletic wing for once. The days of Danny Green still kind of are in the back of my head. I was excited, but my expectations were tempered. And surely enough, man, this guy evolved. Yeah, he was streaky, but evolved into the Sixers' third best scorer. So I'm with you. Like on one end, I agree. Like if they can get him on a team-friendly deal, I would gladly have him back. I'm not so sure how affordable this guy's going to be because a lot of the times when they were getting out-rebounded, out-hustled, they couldn't hit shots from the perimeter. A lot of that was Kelly Oubre, and he was on the court for that. So
yeah, I mean, listen, you're not wrong, but again, you're not going to be paying this guy,
that's it.
A lot of money, and you hope that he is just the spark off the bench, and yeah, I think I would love for him to be back at a reasonable price. Obviously, I'm not going to pay him, $15, $20, $25 million here. I don't think anybody is. So I just think it's a good match for what he is.
We've got Rob in the house. What's up, Rob?
Sorry about that, gentlemen. Had some computer issues after running all over southern New Jersey this evening. So I'm here now.
We were assuming you would say go to Tobias Harris.
No, I want another max deal for Tobias Harris.
Get out of here.
Right.
Go back to South Jersey.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Kelly Oubre?
Listen, I'm of the mindset with Kelly Oubre, and I've gone back and forth about this throughout the offseason, but the big thing that this team lacks that you're watching and some of these other teams is toughness. And if there was a guy that when you needed that little grit, that little toughness, I feel like Kelly Oubre gave that. Whatever the market value is for him, whatever the market tells you, that's what he costs. Because I agree with what Ryan was saying. I don't think it's 15, 20, 25 million a year. You pay it. And I have a feeling Kelly loved it here. He loves playing for Nick Nurse. I think he called Nick Nurse a rock star at the end of the year. If you say to Kelly, like, hey, go out and see what you're worth, but give us an opportunity. Give us an opportunity to see if we can match it or at least get close enough where you feel comfortable. To me, he's a guy I want here. I mean, and I want Kelly Oubre as the guy off the bench. I don't necessarily want him as a starter. I think his grit, his tenacity, like you said, his ability to rebound and hit his corner three when needed is something they lack off the bench almost year in and year out. Like if Kelly Oubre is your sixth man, I am really excited going into this season.
Yeah, I agree with that. Off the bench, Kelly Oubre, I love. Starting Kelly Oubre with significant minutes, not so much. We got Pat in the house saying he was getting major boards offensively and defensively. I think Sixers fans somewhat overrate Kelly Oubre to an extent. That's just my take. So for me, I am good with staying, but only if the caveat is only if he's coming off the bench in with a reasonable contract and he can play more off ball with the Sixers. And a lot of that's not his fault. Like he was thrown into that because how inept Tobias Harris was and the lack of cohesiveness on this roster with Embiid off on the bench. They didn't really have an offense. So let's roll on. Go ahead. Yeah, Rob.
I was just going to say he's only a starter on a team that is looking to make the playoffs and maybe win one round. And that's not what the Sixers are looking for anymore, right? Like we are Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals are bust at this point. So I agree. He's got to be a bench player.
Yep. All right, let's roll on to Buddy Hield. This one's tough, man. Before Game 6 against the Knicks, I was like, hell yeah. I mean, absolutely not. Hell no. And then, sure enough, he was like the storyline of that game. He was tremendous. He turned the game around, hit a lot of threes. This is the kind of guy you want around Joel Embiid, but I don't know if we have seen it enough consistently. To start with you, Rob. Stay or go with Buddy Hield?
Well, here's the thing. He was just not very good here. He started off hot, then he went cold and kind of back and forth. For the right price, I'd like to keep him here. And I say that because I think we've been saying this for years now, but the way you win around a guy like Joel Embiid is to get shooters. And I feel like we got cheated of the Buddy Hield experience because he only had 15 games with Joel Embiid. They weren't really, and you didn't have a Joel Embiid who was healthy. You had a Joel Embiid who was spending a little bit more time after he came back from the injury out around the 3-point line, not getting inside, not passing out from the post. Look, I think the Buddy Hield thing can work. But once again, we kind of just said this about Kelly Oubre, and I kind of feel the same here. I'm not going to overpay Buddy Hield. Like maybe when they first traded for him, that was my thought. Now it's not. And honestly, I'm curious where Nick Nurse stands on Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
Because even in that game 6, he went off, but then I felt like he just wasn't in the game for a really long stretch after that. So I think that's going to play into it. I mean, I personally lean towards stay, but if both of you said go, then I'm fine with that, because I'm not going to overpay for Buddy Hield, but I do think that he provides something to this team. Once again, as a role player around Joel and Tyrese.
What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, this might be the toughest one. I think it's definitely going to depend on salary. I think what he made, what was his cap was 23.5. I don't think he's worth that for sure. So, then you kind of play around with lowering that. Listen, I think when you look at this team and you look at the, we're so stuck on getting another star, and listen, I hope that they go out and get somebody, but there's not like a star, yeah, there's technically, there's Paul George, and technically there might be a LeBron James if he opts out, and yada yada yada. But if we're being honest, we're probably not shooting for those guys. We're probably shooting for the next tier down, and thus hopefully, saving us some money somewhere. And I think we need to worry about what's coming off of our bench and preserving our stars, especially Joel Embiid, and not having him out on the floor for so many minutes, and then having him to take off games and whatnot. All that being said, it has to be money, but in all of that, I think we should keep him. I think we need. Yes, he didn't really work out, but again, he didn't really have all the time in the world. He didn't really have a ton of time with Joel. I think you give him that in off season to get their cohesiveness together. I like him as a shooter, I really do, and I think when he's on, man, he's shooting at a 40% clip and higher, and you gotta love that. So I'm keeping him personally.
It's the same reason. I guess I didn't see enough of Buddy Hield.
Yeah,
I'm actually. Well, one of the biggest things the Sixers need this offseason is shooting, and did I mention shooting? You have to.
Yeah.
You have. I mean, this is a team that was about middle of the pack in the NBA when it comes to 3-point percentage, but bottom tier in three-pointers made and 3-pointers attempted. So losing a shooter of this caliber would hurt this team in a big way as a bench scorer. But my problem with Buddy Hield is not the player, it's the Sixers system. Nick Nurse clearly didn't know how to incorporate this guy in the offense. We didn't see him flying around screens in that JJ Redick role that we theoretically envisioned. We didn't see him really impacting the offense more than his 3-point shot. I mean, I was actually really shocked at that. And even Nick Nurse admitted that. Or no, it was Daryl Morey admitted that during the post-game presser. The caveat, I guess, is I agree with Ryan, is let's see, A, how much the contract is, and B, hopefully get him better looks because the Sixers with Embiid and Hield together did not look good. So that's my take.
So if you can get him for, say, $15 million, is that too much?
I mean, no, I think that's where his market's going to be. I mean, when you talk about in a league where they value shooters, and I tell you, the two areas of his game that I didn't expect was his passing ability at times, I thought he threw some, made some really good extra passes. And look, he's not the best defender, but, and I hate this term, I really do, but I think it's one we always throw around. He was a willing defender at times. He was willing to get in there and scrap it up and do whatever he could against guys. He's just never going to be a lockdown defender. But, I think I would love to see Buddy Hield with an entire offseason here, a training camp, getting the gel with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. And that's why I'm kind of leaning on the keep him side.
Patrick says, if anyone that should be a bench piece, it's Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
We have A saying stay. Buddy saying go. I'm more leaning towards Quentin, to be honest. I'm with you right there. This one's not an easy one to pick. It's probably one of the more difficult ones on this roster.
The thing is, who are you replacing? Who
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you look out there and what's out there, Buddy Hield is not going to be the most expensive bench shooter by any means, but you need somebody. I mean, listen, you have some, young. You also need people for now, you know what I mean?
And not only that, the Sixers are going to have a 12 to 14 man roster this year. There's no one on this team right now. So I understand people going, oh, too expensive. Well, if there's a year to maybe overspend a little bit for a bench piece, this is kind of the year to do it, I feel like, because you're not going to see this much cap space again in the Joel Embiid era. You're just not. Especially you're going to give Maxey a max contract. You're still going to look for another guy that can handle a load if Embiid's out of the game, that sort of thing. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be Paul George, but somebody that is a higher caliber player is going to be here, I feel. So you're going to need to spend some money on these guys. And that's a great question by Q. And I know, Dives, you talked about Malik Monk last year, and really they're the same type of guy, I think. I mean, I haven't watched Malik Monk's career because he's just been all over, but they kind of remind me of each other, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it is a great question. And it's definitely one that I think Morey should be absolutely kicking the tires on, because I love your comment, Rob, about Buddy Hield's playmaking. That was the biggest surprise when they first acquired him. He was running the pick and roll. He was more now that was because there was a lot of injuries and things like that with Maxey out and so forth. But he looked good. He was finding guys cutting to the basket. He was the primary ball handler in the pick and roll as a secondary option. And that's probably not his ultimate goal here, but as a player, but I think Malik Monk is by far a better option at that. So yeah, it really just comes to how Nick Nurse envisions this offense. And can he kind of find a way to get Buddy more involved? Because when that shot's not hitting, he was unplayable at times.
Sure, yeah. I mean, but is not Malik Monk a more expensive option here?
Well, that's the question. That's really what it comes down to. Is
everybody and their mother wants Malik Monk on their team right now?
If they're both out there, and Buddy says, "All right, I'll do it for 15 a year," and Malik says, "I'll do it for 20 a year," to me, I don't know. We'll see. All
right, let's roll on. So we'll do majority. 2 stay for Buddy, 1 go for me.
We win, Ryan. Finally, there's no algorithm for Dives to just win.
Right.
Jesus. All right, rolling on to Paul Reed. This is going to get interesting. Because of a quirk in his contract, his $7.7 million contract for next year is now not guaranteed due to the team failing to make it to the second round. Lead us off, Ryan. Stay or go, Paul Reed.
Man, I thought we already did the toughest one. This is tough because we've seen this kid just grow up and blossom into a very good player, and I feel like we're always talking about oh, let's get Paul Reed out there with Embiid, and he can play the 4 and to Embiid's 5, and they're they just don't ever want to do that. And that doesn't seem like it's ever going to be a plan moving forward. It doesn't ever seem like there's ever going to be a fit for Paul Reed here to be anything other than a backup for Joel Embiid, which in this particular case, and I'm going to argue it later, that I think we need a big upgrade on. So if this is the case, I say by Paul Reed.
What about you, Rob?
So it's interesting. I was actually listening to a podcast who was specifically talking about Paul Reed earlier today, and I think they bring up a good point. Paul Reed last year in the playoffs looked like he could play. Paul Reed against a team like the New York Knicks and this year in the playoffs, it's not a matchup that he's ever going to win when you got big, strong centers coming at you. I think that when the Sixers start allocating their money, I think what you may see happen. First of all, Daryl Morey specifically mentioned Paul Reed being here, which I thought interesting in that end of the season press conference. He did not, and I know that you say, well, yeah, because he's under, but he didn't mention Doughton in that. He mentioned Ricky Council, Joel, Tyrese, and Paul as the four names that he mentioned. So that's the first thing. So my thought here is this: you're paying him $8 million a year. If you could get a backup center, and I'm not going to say a name because I know he's coming up later, but if you could get a backup center for around, I don't know, what, $5-6 million. Those two guys together on nights where, say, Joel Embiid's not going to play or you got to rest him or something like that, they both can. If the other guy brings this tough, defensive-minded, rebounding, mindset, and then you bring Paul Reed's athletic ability, and you mesh them together, that together could be a good backup center. But that only works if you're not going to try and go out and spend a lot of money on a backup center. So, in my opinion, if you go after a guy we're going to talk about later and you can get him cheap enough, I think you keep Paul Reed and you let these guys kind of mesh together because no matter who you get behind Joel Embiid, you're not going to be happy playing that guy, in a game where Embiid misses. You don't want that guy to have to play 25, 30 minutes. So mesh them together, keep Paul Reed here. I mean, look, he can be super frustrating at times. And I'm upset because I really thought this was going to be a big year for him. But I'll lean to stay because I think what they're going to end up doing is meshing him with a tough-minded, bigger center at the end of the day.
Yeah. Quinn says if there's money left after the other moves, stay on a team-friendly deal for Paul Reed. This is a guy who looked overwhelmed anytime the ball came his way against the Knicks. You saw Hartenstein, you saw Robinson having no problem picking his pocket again and again and again inside the paint. Or anytime he had the ball in his hands, to be honest. He did very little to keep the Knicks off the offensive glass. Did very little at providing any kind of rim protection in the playoffs. And there's also a thing the Sixers are going to be able to get out of the contract at no cost. So there's definitely that side of this as well. And to be fair on Paul Reed, like the way the Sixers, run out Joel Embiid on the court defensively, Embiid plays that Batman role where they funnel the dribble penetration into the paint, and Embiid does so much work, which he doesn't get enough credit for how he impacts the team defensively, and Paul Reed just can't provide that role. And I don't know, there's probably less than 10% of the players in the NBA could provide that role of rim protection and contesting shots at the rim. I'm going to say stay because I do think there is a chance that we could see some Paul Reed at the 4, but it doesn't look good, man. So let's move him to stay for now. Anthony says Reed needs to learn how to catch basketballs and work on his handles, man. It's rough.
I mean, even though it's $7 million, it's and it's only a little over 5% of the salary cap. It seems like a lot, right?
Yeah. All right, let's roll on to Nicolas Batum. This guy's offense was streaky. They don't win the play-in game without Nico Batum. He was excellent in Game 6. The other 5 games gave them nothing. This is a guy who does all the other things at a pretty high level. Good defense, amazing passer with Embiid. The inside-out game with Joel and Nico was excellent this year. He is able to get tough rebounds at times, but I'm getting kind of tired of guys that cannot score on some nights. We've had so many of those guys. I'm hoping they bring him back. I would love to see some continuity there. He's an easy stay for me. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, no, easy stay. I love what he brought to this team. Yes, he again was very streaky, but man, I mean when he is on it, he is on it. And he even for those other normal games, he was always there to hit a timely 3. He was great at just kind of helping to kind of shift the game back to the Sixers way in those little ways. And so I like him coming back. I mean, he is 36. There was when we first acquired him, we didn't even know if he would actually, be on the team. It seemed like he was stepping away and might retire or whatever. There was a lot of, confusion there. So I hope he still wants to play. And if he does, I certainly want him back on this squad. Because again, I think he could be a very nice piece. And even if he is an official starter at the small forward, I still think it's worth it.
Mr. Rudy Poo says, why is Paul Reed in this team?
Hey, listen here, Mr. Rudy Poo. This is our list, damn it.
I think the general consensus is that
I said go
fine as off the bench kind of guy. We kind of learned that lesson pretty hard this year, and this is coming from a big Paul Reed guy that he can't be a starter. I still think there is some untapped potential for Paul Reed, but my goodness, he was unplayable at times. Ryan, thoughts on Nico Batum?
I think it's my turn.
Yeah, I just knocked.
Sorry, Rob, go ahead.
Clearly somebody was paying attention.
clearly, I'm just not here. No, I listen. I think he's an easy stay. I think honestly, the biggest question is he going to play or not? Is he going to retire? Is he going to play? If he plays, I don't think he's not looking for money at this point. He's had a long, great career. He's very close with Joel Embiid. They have that French connection. So and he loves playing for Nick Nurse. I think if he decides he wants to play another year, I think he'll come back here very team friendly. And I think that the Sixers should absolutely welcome him back.
Yeah, I mean, he did make over $17 million last year, by the way. So
yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, that can't be anywhere close to what's
this happening. Is a vet. This is as close to a vet minimum deal as
I hope.
That's what I'm thinking.
So, just to recap, pretty much all of these guys that we're saying stay should be team friendly.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not even
on all these guys.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say like Buddy Hield and Kelly Oubre need to be team friendly. I just think that, you don't overpay for these guys. If there's anybody there that I would slightly overpay for, it's Kelly Oubre because I think he brings a bit of tenacity to the team. Everybody else, I just think, market vet, like what is Nico Batum's market? Like it can't be much more than the vet minimum at this point. I mean, it just can't be. So, I'm just kind of thinking from those terms.
Yeah. So we were not consensus on either one of these players in the stay category, which is really fun.
There was two. It was 2-1 for each one of them, right?
Yeah. Paul Reed was on the playoffs.
Weren't all three of us in on Batum?
The only thing about Paul Reed is, he can. I still believe he has upside as an offensive rebounder, and the Sixers have no rebounding whatsoever. So that's one of the big things I don't want to get off this roster. Kelly Oubre Kelly and Buddy should be the only ones staying.
But
Oubre
I
is
ask you again.
unfriendly because of the potential upside. Yeah, man. That contract could get scary, for sure.
Which once again, he's the one guy that I would be willing to go slightly over, just because I think he adds something different.
All right, Kyle Lowry. Let's get into Kyle Lowry. Rob, lead us off.
Yeah, this was a tough one for me because for a while there, I was like, yeah, I mean, he brings some leadership. But I feel like you can, like, when I look at stay or go, and Ryan, you brought this up earlier when we talked about Buddy Hield. My question is, if go, can he be replaced? Kyle Lowry and what he did, in my opinion, can be replaced. You can find that on the open market. And that's why I'm going to lean go here. He just looked cooked at the end. You know what I mean? Like early on. And look, once again, a victim of circumstance. They had to play him way more than I think they wanted to, with all the injuries that they were dealing with early. And by the end, I just don't think he had enough there. It's a great story. Would I be surprised if they actually brought him back? No, I wouldn't. But if for intensities of this exercise, I'm going to have him as a go because I think he can be replaced. He's a guy that, yes, you can get something younger that does the same thing he's doing, and I'd rather go that route.
I'm the same way. I'm go for Kyle Lowry. The story was fun. I don't think he was terrible. There are times when he was like one of the only few ball handlers on this roster, but he doesn't have the legs anymore for extended minutes. He's clearly a bench guy getting like 10 to 12 minutes in that role. And I agree. I think there's going to be better options potentially in free agency. If you look at this draft coming up, there's a lot of guards, big guards that could maybe be groomed in that role off the bench. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, no, get him the hell out of here. We don't need this his old ass.
Listen, Ryan, how do you feel? Ryan, how do you feel about this?
Listen, I'm gonna be nice about this. Listen, we have other backup point guards that we could have. We don't need Lowry. It's a nice Villanova bull, blah blah ball. Guess what? I'm done with Villanova. I don't want any Villanova people.
I love it.
I'll take Josh Hart on this team.
I mean, listen, you're right. I would.
And Mikal Bridges.
Yeah. Oh, don't tease me right now, Dibs. Don't say that name.
But I also don't want, somebody went to Villanova back in like 1982 because this guy is old as dirt, and we don't need him. We got other backup point guard options, so I'm out.
All right. Quinn says no. Rudy Poo says no. Give me campaign. Lowry is old and small. Maxey needs to be paired with a bigger point guard. Those are hard to find, Quentin. Those are really hard to find, especially ones that are good shooters as well. You can't bring him back. He's out of gas. And Kelly Oubre should be our 2 guard, and we need to get a 6'8" and up wings.
Kelly Oubre should be a bench player for the Sixers.
Yes. Let's roll on to Anthony Melton. Had a big injury late last year. If he's available for cheap, it's a no-brainer. I would love to see him like on a prove-it deal. D'Anthony Melton, I thought, had some really good moments with the Sixers. It sucks that he wasn't available for the Knicks series. They could have really used his defense. Lead us off, Rob. Thoughts on D'Anthony Melton?
So Melton, there's I think the injury may help in getting a like you said, a prove it deal, which I would be on board with. But I got to say, I'm a little concerned about this back because obviously he tried to come back a couple times and really couldn't this season. He had a slight issue with it last season, if I remember, as well. And normally, as you get older, if you're dealing with back issues, they don't necessarily get better. And he was a guy that they really needed this year. And, we talk about all the time, the best abilities, availability. And if he's not going to be available, I just don't know if it's going to work. God, I hate saying this again because we've said it for every guy. If it's a team friendly deal, if it's a prove it deal, I'm all in on it. But I don't know if it will be because there's enough teams out there that may pay him more than they should. So I'm going to lean go on that for that reason, because that back injury really has me concerned.
What does that mean? What does that tell you? If like every single one of these players were saying team friendly deal, that means you're not all in on this guy, right?
You're not in love with him. We're just, hey, listen, this is the best option that we have out there because there's not a lot going on in free agency that we're going to be able to upgrade our team.
Yeah.
Considering we're needing to get that third star, that bigger name. That's the concentration.
I will say, listen, I'm
taking it back. Sorry, you're going down.
Oh snap!
No, that's the entire point of this exercise is to like work through these kinks because like we keep saying the same things that Rob is saying.
Yeah,
As a 10th, 11th guy, yeah, I like it a lot, but like
I gotta say,
guys,
I'm
not gonna lie, I love Batum.
Yeah. I was gonna say if I was forced into a corner, Kelly Oubre, Nick Batum are the two guys that I'm pounding the table for to stay. Honestly, now with that said, I still think we keep Buddy Hield up there because of what we all talked about. And the shooting and Ryan hit the nail on the head. If he goes, okay, but you better bet your ass you need to bring Malik Monk or somebody else in to take that role because somebody is needed in that role.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, Melton, you can just move Melton down. It sucks because I do like the potential. I like the athleticism. I like what he brings, but you're right. He's just a little too injury prone and. I think somebody is going to give him more money than what we're willing to give him that prove it deal. And I think, Dibs, you definitely said it. I think when we look at these, it has to be the right deal. Well, listen, if it's like a min deal or a prove it deal, that means that just proves to me you shouldn't be on this team. Whereas Oubre, Hield, and Batum, I'm willing to give them their market value. I am. I don't want them to overpay, but market value, great. Come back. The four bums down below, it's.
So you're not giving Tobias Harris the vet minimum.
I wouldn't give Tobias Harris $5 to be on this team. I wouldn't actually have Tobias Harris pay me $5 to be on this team.
I would actually trade him for a crumble cookie. I would do it.
Don't get that started.
But I think the whole team friendly deal, like Quentin said, is more so, about the lack of roster cohesion. It's more so the lack of identity with the Sixers team. Like none of these guys truly fit what the Sixers need. They're not great rebounders. They're not great shooters besides Buddy Hield. They all have their deficiencies. Sure. There's no unity on the Sixers squad to fit around Embiid, and more importantly, start building around Tyrese Maxey as a number one option.
Right, but isn't it a thing that you look at the teams that have been around Embiid and how many outside of Tobias Harris, because unfortunately we stupidly gave him like a 5-year deal. There's not many people that have been with Joel Embiid for more than a couple of seasons.
No one
to keep. It's like changing offensive coordinators every freaking season.
I'll say this though. I'm going to say this, and this is going to be highly controversial, but I'm going to say it because that's just what I do. Is I make controversy. My sales pitch to free agents is not going to be Joel Embiid right now. It's not. Okay, I understand what Joel Embiid can do, but my sales pitch is, hey, when the big guy's got to miss 15, 16 games, take a look at that little guard we have over there and what he's become. I'm almost at the point of saying, build this thing through Maxey. And it's not a slight at Embiid. It is not a slight at Embiid, but we look at Joel Embiid, we look at the health, we look at the years now. To me, your free agent pitch, and I think why a lot of free agents may want to come here, yes, they want to play with Joe, is the growth of Tyrese Maxey. I mean, did you hear LeBron talking about Maxey the other day? I'm not saying he wants to come here, just in general, how the stars of the league are starting to notice who Tyrese Maxey is. That's the guy that, in my opinion, when you're selling stuff to free agents, it's, hey, you get to play alongside this guy for the next 5 or 6 years. So, I know that that's controversial in this town, but I do believe that.
No, but it's smart. It's he's up and coming. He's exciting. Again, the whole Embiid injury, the load management, et cetera, like it's a little tiring. Like, obviously, if Embiid could be out there for 82 games, I wouldn't doubt he'd be winning MVPs left and right. But fortunately, you have him for 75% of the season if you're lucky. Maxey is literally running 30 miles per hour up and down the court for 80 games. So he's just kind of exciting. He's buzzed right now.
No, there's no question that the offense should run through Maxey. We all saw it. The offense went down the toilet bowl the second Embiid hit that bench. There was no big plan by Nick Nurse, and I thought he would. I was not that impressed with Nick Nurse's coaching in the Knicks series.
It was bad. It was not good.
I mean, there was no cohesiveness. And this is up to Morey. He's got 1 year, in my opinion. That's it. Yeah. Can we put Reed on the line between Stango? No, he's a
no. You could send him. I mean, I do think he's going to be here, but I agree with you guys for this exercise. I totally understand that.
I've been covering the NBA draft. There are a couple of nice stretch forwards in this draft that could be fun. But Anthony says, I like Toby, but the bright lights were too big. Forget Embiid. We're building on Maxey now. Joel cannot be trusted. I think there is people. I think there is truth to some of that, and we're going to get to why. But for the sake of time, let's keep rolling. Maxey is our number one option going forward. Straight facts. Dude, the Knicks played Embiid one-on-one, focused on Maxey. 1,000% facts. That's why the Sixers had no answer offensively in that game 6, right? I think it was game 6. And they just bracketed and double teamed Maxey all game, and the Sixers had no options. So let's roll on to our next guy, Ricky Council. Ricky Council was converted from a two-way to a NBA deal, but is not necessarily guaranteed for next year. Pound to stay. I'm really high on Ricky Council. Next. Should we just move on?
Yeah, we should. I think we're all high. Yeah, he's got to stay.
Yep.
All right. I'm really excited to watch him during the summer league, man. He's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch. I think he's a bucket getter.
If he could develop that shot a little more, man, he's got a chance. He really does.
That's the thing is like the improvements in his shot in such a short time span is outstanding. He's got an NBA body. He's got a lot of energy defensively. He crashes the boards. He gets to the free throw line. He's not scared like Tobias of contact. Pound to stay. Let's roll on. Campaign. Lead us off, Rob. Campaign.
Listen, I will love Campaign forever for saying energy doesn't cost anything. Energy doesn't cost nothing. This guy is the ultimate bench type of player where he's going to come in. He's not going to be afraid of the game. The moment's not going to be too big for him. He's not the most talented. He's not going to be perfect. He's going to make mistakes. But I got to tell you, when they made that trade initially, I was upset. And I was like, who the hell is Campaign? What's he going to do? The guy impressed me. The guy did impress me. And I love the idea of Campaign being a guy coming off the bench for the 76ers. I really do. I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but if you're asking me, should he stay or go? I'm going to pound the table for Campaign. I'm going to say stay.
All right. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, this is an easy stay for me. As Yeah. Listen, this gets. I want him to be the backup point guard. It gets Kyle Lowry the hell out of here. And honestly, he's a guy who's just tough. He's like I said, full of energy. And honestly, you need people like this. And with Maxey, running around and doing his thing, he doesn't need a lot of a rest. But I like when Campaign's out there. I even if it's for 8 minutes a game, that's fine with me. And honestly, I just like him. Honestly, I've always liked him, even when he was, in Phoenix and etc. So I've been a fan, and I want him to stay.
All right. So he is staying. We're gonna throw Campaign. We got 2 out of 3.
You just deleted Campaign. Oh, there he is.
You can see him, right?
Yeah, we got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Campaign is like a guy that I don't necessarily want that much playing in the playoffs. He's so streaky, but like if you're looking for a guy to win you some games in the regular season, he's that kind of that dude.
Yeah.
Maxey isn't a number 1. Do we not watch when Embiid? I disagree with that.
But you know what? That's not what we were saying either. Our point was he's the young rising star that needs to be a pitch to get guys to come here to sign 3, 4, 5-year contracts. I don't think Joel Embiid is that pitch because we don't know if we have Joel Embiid for more than 2 years, and you just, that's what we mean by that,
Yeah. And Tyrese Maxey is 24 years old. Like, he still has room to grow. Like, again, yes, it might be difficult to be the number 1 option to take over a game all by himself with zero help. Yeah, that's only a few people can actually do that. So I don't want to hear that he's not a number 1.
Mr. Rudy Poo says, plus great comments tonight by Rudy Poo. Facts. I mean, his plus minus overall, like he was so impactful, but man, in the fourth quarters, it was the same old thing. If your front office will it be better to put a bunch of role players on Maxey because Embiid most definitely will miss games to get another star. That's a whole other conversation. The star hunting versus role players. I'm more team role players for the Sixers, but we're going to keep it rolling. We're already 48 minutes. This is going to be a long show. Buddy Hield can go. Interesting. And I was one that was more go for Buddy Hield. If Embiid does come back, he'll be a plus, but not totally relying on him. We're going to get into that. Knicks, Minnesota, Denver, Boston, OKC, Pelicans, building their teams up. Everybody else is still using the LeBron and Curry formula. I mean, you look at teams like Minnesota and the Knicks and Boston and OKC and Denver, like all those teams specifically have identities. They all play a certain way from the top to the bottom. The Sixers are still, Boom just got hit.
Yeah, he did. Let's go.
And looks like the Phillies are tied 4-4 here. Is that what it is?
Wow. Tied 4-4, bases loaded.
Wow.
Stotty hit a homer. Stotty hit a homer in the 9th, huh?
Yeah, he did.
All right. That just looks painful for Boom. Oh, my God.
Oh, great.
Number 1. Sorry, guys. We're getting a little off task here.
Yeah.
Number 1 priority is getting a starting caliber center. We're going to be talking about that. Let's roll on. How many more do we have? KJ Martin. I mean, small ball center there at the back end of the season. Bouncy. I would be shocked to see him stay. I think he probably wants a bigger role.
There's plenty of KJ Martins out there. Honestly, I believe that.
Yeah.
You guys go?
Bye.
All right, KJ Martin is a go. God,
we're trying to. Somebody put Brandon Russell's comment up there.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah,
you got it right.
Brandon, we're trying to get tougher, and if you watched Kyle Filipowski, the kid is soft when the moment matters. Okay, he's soft. Do not draft Kyle Filipowski.
I love this comment. Would you draft Bronny just
Yes.
to sign LeBron
Yes.
James?
Yes.
I would.
Yes. I would do it. And I'm telling you right now, I know what people say, oh, he's 37. LeBron is LeBron. If your window with Joel is 2 years, don't tell me. Don't even try and tell me that anyone that says bringing LeBron here would be an issue is lying. They're lying. They'll be the first one to have a LeBron jersey. First one.
Right here.
My gosh, as Harper, I didn't even realize Harper was up to play here. Jesus.
Come on, F the Mets.
All right. Let's roll on to Robert Covington. Just
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
I would have said bye-bye even if he didn't miss the last 4 months.
All right. I would say stay, obviously. All right. We're going to go by. I thought he played really well when he was actually on the court, but the problem was he wasn't on the court a lot.
He also makes too much money, and then, what are we going to say again? Team-friendly deal.
Pretty much, yeah. But, like, if you're looking at, like, a last guy off the bench, team-friendly deal?
Oh, God. Oh, boy, what happened?
Harper strikes out.
What a bum. Well, at least it's tied.
Season's over.
Yeah.
All right, rolling on. Mo Bamba, go. And Jeff Doughton Jr.
Who?
Jeff Doughton Jr.
Who?
Jeff Doughton Jr., man. I thought he played really well. He shot the ball well. He was a late addition to the team. 47% of his threes in 12 games. Looked really good downhill. Didn't turn over the ball a lot. He's an older guy. He's like 27, and I thought he was younger at the time.
Never heard of her.
All right, but anyway, we're gonna.
You could say bye-bye to both of them.
All right, let's roll on. So that.
Is that it?
All right, so quick take. We were not consensus on a lot of these guys. I think we were consensus on
players
Batum,
to name, don't we? No.
Council.
Is that it?
Batum, Council. You did not want Payne,
Yeah.
or did you, Dibes?
No, I wanted Payne. So
we were consensus on 3.
Okay,
Wow.
the last. So basically, 3 out of 5. That's not bad.
All right. So guys, those are our stay and goes. Let us know down in that comment section what you think. Let's roll on to our top lessons learned between the Sixers and Knicks. We've had finally a week to kind of like think about where the Sixers need to go, what direction they need to right the ship. Rob, lead us off, man. Like, what's your take? All right, Ryan, I'll lead us off.
I literally took a bite or something. He goes, Rob, lead us off.
And I'm leaning back to watch the Phil's game.
I mean, obviously,
I'll start us off.
Go for it, Ryan.
Listen, the Sixers proved that they're a bunch of soft little bitches. Honestly, they walked into a team that smacked them right in the mouth, and then they didn't know what to do. It was embarrassing. Honestly, it was embarrassing. They couldn't. They got knocked completely out of their game. They forgot what a rebound was. So not only do they need to get tougher, they need to get physical, and they need to actually rebound the ball. I mean, that's literally why they lost the season. They got out rebounded, like embarrassingly so, especially on the offensive glass, giving them so many second and third chance shots. Honestly, they couldn't overcome it, and the Knicks just knew it. They absolutely knew it, that they would just out physical them, and that's all they needed to do to win the series. So they need to add some toughness. They need to add some rebounding. They need to add some grit.
What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I've really gone over and over on this, and toughness has kind of been the thing in my head. I mean, if you watch that Knicks series, the Knicks were not the more talented team. The Knicks were the tougher. They were the more mentally tough, more physically tough. And I know we all hate the calls that they're getting, But I honestly believe that they get these calls because they play hard and they play tough. And that matters in the NBA. And they've got to, that's why I don't want soft players. I want guys with an edge. I want guys with a little tenacity, but I want guys that can play as well. It's not like, yeah, give me PJ Tucker because he's a dog. Well, he couldn't play anymore, and now I know that I was wrong. I'll be the first one to tell you. Okay. But those guys are out there. Dives, you said it. You got 1 year, Maury, to find these guys and put this team around Embiid and build this thing and go after a title. That's it. So I'm going to just stick with that. It's toughness. All
right, toughness for Ryan and Rob. Where do I share my screen? There it is. Can I go on a rant? Do you mind if I go on a rant?
Yes, I'm muting. I want to hear.
Yeah, go for it.
I have a few things, and I have a lot of notes. And number one is obviously the big one, finding a bench. The Sixers need to find a bench. The Sixers scored 649 total points in the Knicks series, and Embiid and Maxey each scored and assisted on 282 of them, meaning both of those guys counted on almost points or assists on 87% of the Sixers' total offensive output in the series. Think about that. 87%. That's an insane mark, man. And we all know the numbers. The Sixers outscored the Knicks by 46 points in the minutes Embiid was on the court, downed 44 points with Embiid off the court. They need to find help. They need to find and retool their bench production. Number two, the offense needs to flow more through Maxey. Maxey still has a long way to go as a basketball player. I loved watching him this season, but there are still ways for him to grow. He doesn't consistently organize the floor. He doesn't use his own gravity yet to make plays for others. He's not necessarily a point guard yet. He's still more of a shooting guard rather than a point guard. He's still kind of a positional tweener as of right now. But Maxey's progress, as we learned this year in that Knicks series, is not about surface stats. It's more about seeing the court. It's seeing the whole floor and becoming a better playmaker for others. And that, as well as one other big area for Maxey, you look at, the high scoring games he had, 42, 50, 51, 52 points. But what was the common denominator in all of those games? For me, it was Maxey getting to the free throw line. And in those games, he had at least 11 free throws. And Maxey's going to have to learn, as defenses adjust to him, that he's not always going to be able to light the world on fire from three. And what I'm talking about here is Maxey himself getting to the free throw line at a much higher rate in 2025. You look at his free throw rate during the regular season, 26.6%. That dropped to 20.3% in the playoffs. For reference purposes, Jalen Brunson's free throw rate was 30.2% in the regular season, 37.9% in the playoffs. Maxey can straight up learn a lot from Jalen Brunson in that series. He needs to learn how to shift gears. He needs to learn how to get defenders off balance when attacking downhill and live off that free throw line. And to be fair, like the whistles never came for Tyrese Maxey. It is what it is. But my last one of the evening before we get into our Sixers offseason targets is Joel Embiid's approach to the Sixers. Nick Nurse's approach to Joel Embiid with the Sixers has to change. There's no question. He had some high scoring games. I'm not blaming Joel Embiid whatsoever. But he did have 34 assists to 25 turnovers. That's not a great assist to turnover ratio for a player whose usage rate was ridiculously high. And what I'm trying to say is the approach has to change in respect to not relying on this guy so heavily. Embiid averaged just 5.8 points in the fourth quarter against the New York Knicks. He shot 23.1% on 26 shots against 6 fourth quarters. 9 assists against 5 turnovers in the fourth quarter. And that's got to change, man. That's got to change. The Sixers' identity with Embiid on the bench was non-existent. The offense had zero clue what to do. And I don't know what the Sixers need to do moving forward, but they have to find a way to get Embiid closer to the basket. Yeah, that is not Embiid's bread and butter. Embiid wants to be a jump shooter. Embiid wants to play away from the basket, but that's not conducive to playoff basketball. That's not conducive to winning basketball in the postseason. Getting Embiid closer to the basket, getting him in contact, and getting him to the free throw line, making defenses not just guard him with wings and pesky defenders and guards on the perimeter, but actually remember the days of Embiid taking out the centers one after one after one because he's down low feasting and getting to the free throw line. Where did that go? Yeah, he was fought through injury, but for me, that is a huge thing this season, is to retool this offense. So that rant's over. Sorry, guys.
No, rightfully so.
Well said. Well said.
All right. We missed a lot of comments here. Thank you guys for watching. Hold on. I got to scroll up. Oh, shit. Last guy I went off the team is Melton. I don't even know why he's still on the team. Number 21, who has to toughen up. Let's be real.
Not bad. Yeah, not a little bit.
It's the truth. It's the truth. There were times in this series, big moments in this Knicks series, when Embiid got boxed out, or he wasn't boxing out, and he was standing too upright. And it's just what it is. Two best players aren't tough guys. Got out efforted by the Knicks, no doubt. I saw one guy give 100% on the Sixers. It's the same guy who's been doing it for the few playoff runs. Number 0 has heart. Knicks have played to their identity, and refs respect that. All right, let's keep. Quentin says Embiid was hurt. Number 0 just needs to add point guarding. Maxey needs to work on his mid-range game.
That's
Maxey needs to work on decelerating. That's the big thing for Tyrese Maxey, is when I said shift gears. That's what I meant by that. And the sky's the limit once he figures that out. Because Brunson is not anywhere near remotely close to the athlete that Tyrese Maxey is. And if he gets that in his bag, it's over for the league, man. Tyrese Maxey is sky high ceiling with that. I want to see less post-ups with Embiid. He's the easiest superstar to guard in the playoffs, and that's because he's not going down low, man. I'm not saying don't let Embiid shoot, but it's a bitter pill to swallow, like, because I don't know. It's just my take. He needs to work on his defense. OG, George, Butler, and Embiid are all injury prone. Bad year to have all this money. Really nobody worth spending it on. Who thinks Embiid will not be injured for the next 2 years? Nobody. All right, let's roll on to our offseason targets. We finally made it. Oh, my God.
Real quick before we get into that, can someone tell me what the hell's happening in the Phillies game? Like, why there's a stoppage?
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but I do know that there was a wild pitch. Bryce Harper, who apparently was on second as the ghost runner, is now on third. Castellanos somehow managed to walk instead of strike out. But yes, there is.
But now there's like the umps came together, and now the Phillies are reviewing something. Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
it's too far away to know what the hell is going on.
Okay, sorry.
I love this. You know,
Q, I want to kill you right now. I just want to tell you that.
Korkmaz, free agent target.
Let's bring him back home.
All right.
I swear to God, I won't watch them. I will not watch the team. I won't. I'm done.
Who won't even play? All right. Who wants to lead us off? So last week, if you didn't catch it, we went over some big names, and I made short videos of all of them with highlight reels and graphics and stuff. So go check them out. They're all on the channel, each one. Lowry Marketing, Mikal Bridges, you name it. But let's roll on to some more role players that we think could have a big impact on the 2025 Philadelphia 76ers. Who wants to go first?
I'll jump on it.
I'll go first since you got Ryan wants to go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. Why not?
All right.
So the player that I wanted the Philadelphia 76ers to go out and sign is none other than Andre Drummond. Yes, Andre Drummond, former Sixer. When he was here for the brief period of time that he was here, I thought and you got the freshest Embiid. I thought he was able to come in and, again, he's not going to score you 20 points, but he's going to get you 10 rebounds in about 3 seconds. The man is absolutely, very good on the glass. It's something that we just talked about needing to add to this team. And listen, there are certainly a couple of nice, centers out there, but a lot of them are still trying to get, starting center roles. And I feel like when you look at the backup center role, I think Andre Drummond is somebody that fits the bill. You could come in and absolutely get yourself a ton of rebounds. I just absolutely like his defense and his offense for limited minutes that he's going to be able to give you, which is really all you need. But in the case of not having Embiid, he's a guy that you can put out there and again, maybe not throw out there for 30 minutes, but he could be your starter if Embiid's out, and you can make that work. Whereas Paul Reed, no offense, but just really couldn't hack it as a starter, and you didn't really have any. He didn't have any backup, and so again, I think that should be the key here. Is obviously we want to add a third star here, but we want to be able to help Embiid last. And, again, I don't care about the MVP. He already got one. If he plays 50 games, great. If he plays 25 minutes a game, great. I want a fresh Embiid for the playoffs. So I think Andre Drummond gives you that best chance of giving him some rest while not having to be like, all right, you better get out there. Jesus, God, what is happening? So that's the only person I could think of when I looked at the list of centers. Yeah, there are some good names out there. There's some guys that I would love to have here. Valanciunas, but he's, again, he might be 32, but he's probably still going to want to start. And I just don't think that's good fit. Whereas Drummond, we saw it work.
Mm-hmm.
Drummond, baby. Hashtag bring back Drummond.
Real quick, Sean says make the team better, but apparently the umps lost the count. That's crazy.
That's embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
How does that happen?
I don't know. Don't they have the little league umpire thing when they?
This is why robo umps are coming.
Yeah. Anyway, Phillies just took the lead on sack fly.
Sweet.
5-4. So good stuff. Rudy Poo says, don't want to trade 16. I am all in on that, Mr. Rudy Poo. We have tons of NBA draft coverage coming. By the way, we have a really cool announcement with the NBA draft. So I haven't done that yet. So we kind of put things together today. So we'll make that announcement in a little bit. We have some great guests for that. Hartenstein, Drummond, Claxton, Valanciunas. Is that how it is?
Valanciunas.
All right, Rob, who's your guy?
So I feel like every year. So let me start off by saying I'm a North Carolina fan, but I feel like there are these segments of time where I want guys somehow that came from Duke. I wanted JJ Redick. He came here, loved it. I wanted Seth Curry for years. Finally, Seth Curry came here, loved when he was here. I have another Duke guy that I have felt for 3 or 4 years that I've loved to see on this roster, and it goes to what Dodge just said. We're trying to surround Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey with shooters. And this is a guy that may have fallen out of grace with a big contract. I believe he was in Memphis, and that's Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard is a guy that I think would be unreal here. We talk about if you let Buddy Hield go, how do you get the 3-point shooter? Here's your guy. Okay. Luke Kennard can just light up a scoreboard from behind the arc. As you see there, catch and shoot from 3, 48.7%. He's a 45% 3-point shooter. I know, you may say, it's only 11 points a game. Well, look, if we could get a guy that's going to score us, I think that number would go up here, 15 to 18 a game, and can stroke the ball the way that he does. And he's another guy who will defend. He's not the best defender, but he's going to get out there and he's going to mix it up. He's not your soft Duke player. Luke Kennard was a tough kid, and he's still a tough kid. And if there's a way to pry him loose from Memphis, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it fast because I think that he could make such a difference on this team in this upcoming season that, I think it's a no-brainer.
All right, Luke Kennard for Rob. That's excellent shooter. Excellent shooter. Clear fit for.
I think
he has on the chat loving Kennard.
I think he has a club option, right? 14 mil.
Yeah, it's a club option. It's a 14 mil. You don't know what Memphis is doing right now. They may say, we're not going to pay that. Or maybe they, look to move them. Maybe they look to pick it up and then move them. I don't know. But I would love to see if you can get Luke Kennard away from them.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Sean says, I like Drummond and Lowry. Lowry's the number one, I think, with Mikal Bridges, the 1B, as we talked about last week. Go check out that show. We went into this in
Did you guys see the internet trade proposal with Mikal Bridges? It was Mikal Bridges. It was Mikal Bridges and Dorial and taking the contract of Finney Smith and giving them 3 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks because, figuring that the Brooklyn Nets are going to rebuild now. I was like, why do people have to just tease me? Like,
they're going to throw Paul Reed in there for a good measure?
Dude, I would be so unbelievably excited for next season if Bridges was putting on a Sixers uniform.
Quentin says, what can we get at number 16?
We can package it with other picks and get Mikal Bridges.
Boom.
I don't want to do that, man. If it's all right, that's the caveat, right? Like if we're talking like that caliber of player, then yes. But there's some big names: Cody Williams, Jared McCain, Jacoby Walter, Jalen Tyson. I like a lot. Devin Carter, I like a lot. Dalton Connect if he falls. Tristan Da Silva, really nice prospect with upside. Tyler Smith is another good one. And I've covered a bunch of them already on the channel. Go check that out. But yeah, I want to get younger. I want to get faster. I want to get more athletic. I want to build this thing the right way. All right. So let's roll on to my Sixers target of the night. Man, one of my favorites. This is a long time coming. I'm happy to be able to finally talk about him on the show. This guy's been absolutely balling out during the NBA playoffs. Obi Toppin, 12.2 points and 19 minutes per game through 10 playoff games this year. In those games, shooting 35% from 3 on 4.3 attempts per game. For reference purposes, Tobias Harris shot 33% from 3 on 3 attempts per game in 36 minutes per game. First up, the biggie is he is a restricted free agent who just turned 26. He's a former number 8 overall pick, shot 40.3% from 3 during the regular season, 40.9% in the catch and shoot. Love to see that. He shot 41.3% in the corners. Good for 41.3. Love to see that. And then that was also on 104 attempts from the corners. So he's not afraid to let it rip if he's open. Love to see that. The Sixers have been looking for a legit stretch four for a long time. You can talk about Arnett Moultrie. You could talk about Moultrie. You could talk about Jonah Bolden. You could talk about maybe even Paul Reed, who is probably a four, but sad face. We never really got to see that happen, and it's probably never going to happen. But you look at Nico Batum, who's probably retiring. Toppin has defended primarily the four spot during his 4-year NBA career. He's got a solid combination of really good hops and an improving three-point shot that instantly makes him a solid fit with Joel Embiid. All of that is fine and dandy, but there are some drawbacks when it comes to Obi Toppin. He's not a great defender. Like he's a great athlete, but it doesn't necessarily show on defense. He's not bulky. He can't bang with bigger players. While the outside shot has really improved, he's not a good enough offensive player to beat guys off the dribble and get to the basket. But I think Obi Toppin is a clear fit for the Sixers if available and an option. I don't know if the Pacers are willing to spend a lot on him. It's going to be interesting to see what his price tag really is. But if this is the year where you kind of strike out on a big name third star, getting a guy like Obi Toppin would be a great addition and finally fixing that 4 spot for the Sixers.
I didn't realize how well he shot from 3. That is exciting. You see those numbers on a guy that size. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think he's ascending. Right? Like he's been getting better and better and better. The question is like the contract and his role. I don't necessarily know if he's a starter just yet. You know what I mean? Like he's more of a off the bench scorer, a guy that can fit an up tempo offense, high transition, move the basketball, let it rip from 3. But he might be kind of in the same boat of like a Kelly Oubre in some regards, where like maybe too much Obi Toppin is a bad thing, if that makes sense. Yeah. All right. By the way, the Phillies came back and won this one.
Yeah,
how about that?
Heck yeah. They didn't have anybody. They didn't have Trey. They didn't have Real Muto. It's good.
Rudy Poo says the Pacers are not paying Obi Toppin. They'll give a contract to Pascal. And Obi has been nice, developed the 3 ball. All right. That wraps it up. Great win by the Phils, by the way. We'll be having post-game live right after this. Throw it to you, Ryan. Final thoughts on today's exercise. Plugs. Time is yours.
Yep. We obviously are a little money conscious of this Sixers team. And, I think we like some of these role players that we have on this team. And I think we like to see more of it and have, more of a set team from year to year instead of, we're going to get 12 new players, like we can't keep doing that every single year. So I like the fact that we were, pretty, consensus on a few of these guys for staying. And listen, I hope that they do. I hope they keep the 5 that we talked about. I think that would be really nice. I don't think it would cost a lot of money. I still think you have obviously enough for a max contract, and then to add, another emerging player as well. So, the Sixers are going to look crazy different, even if they bring back 5 of these guys. It's still a lot of turnover. So, hopefully Morey, hits all the right buttons because we need it. We don't have a lot of time left with Embiid. He is 30, but he's older than that in his legs. So, we'll see what happens. But as far as everything else, you can check out my earlier show, Football Smack Talk show, every Monday at 6:00. I was solo today, so check that out. I was talking Little Birds. Tomorrow, Birds of the Round Table at 8 o'clock. We're going to be, what are we talking about tomorrow? Have we decided, or we're still kicking?
We're going to do an all NFC East draft where we're going to draft all the best players and to each of our teams.
Right. I loved that we did that last year too.
Yeah.
Actually, this is the third time we're doing it. Actually, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's a fun way to assess, like.
Yeah, I would be the guy that purposely refused to take any Dallas Cowboys, no matter what. Not going to do it. Not going to do it.
The schedule's coming out Wednesday at 8 o'clock. I cannot wait for that. Who knows? Stay tuned. We may be live for that as well. So, other than that, I'll be around if you need me. Wherever my
leave a message at the tone.
Yeah, well, there it is. Just hit me up on there. Shoot me a message at me. I'll respond. I got nothing better to do.
All right, go give Ryan a shout out on X at Philly Sports PSA. Go check out Philly Sports Alliance. Man, we crushed this shit, man. Rob, I'm sorry.
So confident. I love it.
No, we do so many shows a week, man.
Yeah, you guys do. You guys do. Obviously, catch me here, Party on Brawl with my two good buddies up there. PSD is coming. That is Philly Sports Disorder. It will be a recorded show, at least in the beginning. We'll see what happens, but it'll be a recorded show. It'll be it'll be about a 15-minute show, kind of doing quick hitters, quick takes on topics surrounding our Philadelphia sports teams, primarily with the Eagles, Phillies, and 76ers being the main thing. But basically, it's going to be a fan's perspective. I'm not going to be analytical. I'm not going to be cautionary. I'm going to be reactionary, and we're going to go after it. And I'm going to be the doctor that prescribes the medicine for you to help with your Philadelphia sports disorder, and it'll come to you every week. So that is coming. We are closing in. I think the last I talked, the intro was almost done, and then we're going to be ready to start pushing this out. And you'll see my at Philly_madness will probably change once PSD starts. Okay. Cool. Once PSD starts. So get ready for that, because I think we all suffer from it, and we just need a place to voice our opinions.
Nice. Very nice.
Be sure to be on the lookout for that. Like Ryan said, we'll be live tomorrow night at 8 o'clock talking birds, doing more of an interactive show, like a draft. They're more fun anyway. I love it. Anything involving like a draft where you're like doing that kind of stuff is always fun. So we'll see you tomorrow night. He is Ryan Reese. He is Rob Lange. For everything NBA draft, there's several, like 10 prospect profiles down on the channel there. I'm working on 4 this week. Cody Williams, Ron Holland, already drawing a blank. There's other guys, more like guards and wings for the Sixers. And I'm hoping to get around like 25-ish prospects done before draft night. And we have a big we're going to have a draft watch party. We've already got our guys lined up. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll make a formal announcement later on. He is Ryan. That is Rob. I'm Dibes. We'll see you Party on Broad every Monday night, 9 o'clock. Stay awesome, everyone.